Hello there internet friends, it's Elliot from Neanderthal Fitness. This video is all about low fat or high fat diets. So some of this information may be old, some of it may be entirely new to you. So this is I find some really interesting things. The first thing I'd like to say is what is often advocated as a low fat diet doesn't factor into the equation that a diet comes in large from three main macronutrients, would be fat, protein and carbohydrates. So a low fat diet would suggest that the other macronutrients are increased, namely that macronutrient would be carbohydrate. So I would not so much call it a low fat diet as a high sugar diet, personal preference, as it really tells you more what's on the can, because again I'm calling it a high fat diet, not a low carb diet, which is again the same thing. It's just one side of the spectrum. So let's start with low fat, because this is what everyone thinks is really healthy. Dietitians and TV have told you for a long time that low fat is healthy, but now suddenly there's kind of a flip side. People are starting to say that maybe that's not the case. Maybe that's not the be all and end all of what's healthy and what's not. So I've got some stuff written down here. I'm just going to go through it. So we're going to start with high sugar diets or low fat diets. So yeah, bear with me. I wrote down quite a lot when I was doing my research for this video. So I've got it in my phone down here. So high sugar diet or low fat diet. What's good about this is, okay, generally you will have better energy levels at the start. I would advocate that that's at the start. Once you get into a low carb, high fat, high protein, high fat, moderate protein diet, then your body switches to ketosis, which means you're burning fat for energy, at which point I tend to think from my past experience your energy levels are better all around. But in general, if you're used to eating carbohydrates, which let's face it, most of us are, then you will have better energy levels. You won't have a drop off when you start, so that's good. There are some diseases which if you have, and this is a very small group, but I found this quite interesting, so I'll share this with you. Some diseases which if you have, you should potentially go to a high sugar, high carbohydrate diet. If you have hepatitis B or C, and again I say that's that's a minority group certainly, then those diseases reproduce better when you have less carbohydrates and you're eating more fat. When your body is doing gluconeogenesis, which is when it turns protein into glucose, which is essentially carbohydrates are glucose. If you're not getting enough carbs, then your body will sometimes turn protein into glucose. When that is happening, hepatitis B and C, if you happen to have those, is it can facilitate the increase or the reproduction of the disease, therefore making it worse. So in that rare circumstance, I would definitely not advocate a low carbohydrate diet. High carbs, slow that down. I thought that was a separate point. It's not. More carbohydrates, so eating a higher carbohydrate diet makes you more energetic and athletic. Carbohydrates are your body's main energy currency based on what you're used to eating, and so by eating that you have more energy. You're more like bouncing off the walls, run 500 yards, blah blah blah, you've got energy. However, it is also linked to less longevity. So you may be more energetic when you are alive, but your life will be shorter than if you switched to a high fat diet. Carbs increase serotonin levels, so this is something that's potentially very important. If you're the kind of person who suffers from depression, then absolutely don't cut carbs down too low, because it increases serotonin, the happy hormone, which obviously is good. And just for anyone who doesn't have depression, you're happier, so that's great, right? Certain grains, things like oats, quinoa, etc., can lower bad cholesterol, LDL, the cholesterol that clogs up your arteries and gives you heart disease. And some evidence suggests can reduce total body fat. Now, I put a big disclaimer next to this, because I think the reason they say can is because if it's in a calorie restricted diet, then you'll lose weight. But that doesn't matter what macronutrient you eat. If you eat less than your body needs, you'll lose weight, as you'll know from some of my earlier videos. And it says total body fat, which is an important thing when I now switch over to high fat, to remember total body. So if you're on a calorie restricted diet, you'll lose fat from everywhere on your body. The only other plus side I could find is that carbohydrates, the main energy source for your brain, so it keeps your memory and your mind sharp. Okay, now this is a much more exhaustive list. I think high fat is definitely the way to go. I always advocate kind of the paleo lifestyle with potentially more carbs than they suggest. I like to include things like potatoes, sweet potatoes, but certainly many more of your calories coming from fat is just better for you. So let's go through some of the really good ones. Let's do that crossover from total body fat. Eating high fat, or getting the majority of your calories from fat, can actually, when you're trying to lose weight, increase the amount of weight you lose from your abdominal cavity. Now, you have different forms of fat, and if you know much about obesity, you may have heard of just general obesity and also central obesity. That may not be the correct, I think it's central obesity, but essentially what that is, if that word is not correct, is obesity all around the middle. So it's kind of your hip to waist ratio, and if your waist is too big, then you have a much higher chance of heart attack, diabetes, and all these bad fucking diseases that you do not want. So eating a high fat diet when you're trying to lose fat, although it may seem contraindicative to some of you that are not used to the idea, then eating a higher proportion of your calories from fat can reduce more fat from your midsection. So if you're worried about fat related diseases, definitely lower the carbs, increase the fats. And if you're a guy or a girl and you just want to get your abs out, you want to look good on the beach, go high fat. You're going to lose more around your midsection, reveal more of those abdominals that you've worked hard in the gym to gain. In general, research has shown that eating the same number of calories on a carb restricting high fat diet as opposed to a fat restricting high carb diet, you will lose more total fat, and again, more of that fat will be from your center, from your stomach, abdominal cavity, all the fat that's around your organs that really fucks up your hormone balances and makes you much less healthy. It reduces appetite. Eating fat is much more satiating than eating sugar, so it reduces your appetite. If you're trying to lose weight, one of the worst things is to be hungry all the time, so eating more fat will, or a diet higher in fat, will reduce your appetite and make it easier to diet and keep losing the weight. It reduces triglycerides, which is essentially free fat floating around your body, LDL cholesterol, etc., is reduced by eating more fat. Now, I'm not entirely sure on the scientific side why that happens, but I think some of it is to do with the fact that when you eat fat, you get both HDL and LDL, good and bad cholesterol, and the more you're eating, the more good cholesterol you get, which combats the bad cholesterol, and also the more readily available fat is in your diet, the less your body seeks the need to hold on to it. So I would say citation needed for that point, because I feel I need to do more research on that, but I have heard that is a fact. So yes, I'll get more detail on that and come back to you guys in the future. Reduced insulin resistance and reduces blood sugar. So again, blood sugar is dangerous in two ways. If your blood sugar strikes too high, then you gain weight. When you have a blood sugar spike, your body tries to hold on to weight, store weight. And again, insulin resistance is what leads to diabetes. So the more you eat sugar, you're throwing sugar at your insulin system and forcing it to combating that to reduce your blood sugar level because you keep spiking it up there. That is causing insulin resistance. Your body becomes more resistant to the hormone and in time can lead to diabetes. Eating a high-fat, low-carb diet has been shown to massively reduce your insulin resistance. It's very effective for people who already have diabetes. If you're pre-diabetic, heading in that direction, that's definitely the way to go to maintain your health. It also helps with thyroid function, which is a big player in metabolic disease and the kind of things that make you really fat. So you know, if you have a dysfunctional thyroid, sometimes you gain weight regardless of what you do. Eating a high-fat diet increases thyroid function, makes it work better, therefore preventing that kind of thing from happening to you. Calcium metabolism needs fat for it to happen, so therefore the more fat you eat, I was going to say the more fat you have, not the more fat you are, but the more fat that you eat, and good fats, then you've got more in your body to metabolize the calcium, which leads to strong teeth and bones. There are a few here, but the video is getting a bit long, so I'm going to cut it off with one of the last ones I find quite interesting, or two last ones rather, is that some fats, such as coconut oil, some saturated fats, are antifungal, antibacterial, so eating them can actively reduce infections and just health defects in general, fungal and bacterial health problems. And a good one for the ladies, and maybe for the men, you know, I'm pretty vain as well, but fat is really good for the skin and the hair and the eyes. So if you have particularly shit looking skin, the chances are your diet is too low in fat. Fat is kind of the outer coating of all the cells in your body. It's good for everything, but particularly good for having nice skin and good shiny hair. So hey, if nothing else has convinced you, go on the vanity side. High fat is good. So yeah, I mean, it was supposed to be kind of a conversation on both sides, but I do find it hard not to be biased when there's so much evidence in favour of a high fat diet. I've had good experiences with a high fat diet, and we'll be going back to that start of next week, so I'll let you know my progress. I'll do some before and after photos. And you know, the hepatitis thing is great. If you have that, then eat high carb. But my point on focusing on that is that if there is so few evidence of the health benefits of eating a high sugar diet that they have to focus on the minority group that may have hepatitis, then hepatitis B or C, then you know, I think that really shows they're really scraping around to find any evidence of good reasons for high sugar, so or high carb, whatever you want to call it, but essentially it is high sugar, whether you beat around the bush or not. So I think that really shows they're scraping the barrel and there's not that much evidence there. So I hope that's convinced you that eating fat is not bad for you, and we should all, to some extent, or most of us, increase our fat intake to around 30 or more % of your daily calorific intake. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, let me know. More to follow. I'll try and get some more videos out this week, as I've got some time off work, which is grand. So yeah, hit me up with your questions. Subscribe. I always put at least one video a week. And like the video if you like it. Peace out, internet people.